Hey everybody, welcome back to the 13 Nights of the 13th Floor. I've got another standing solo vid, and what I'm going to be going over today, since Halloween is approaching fast, I thought it would be fun to go over, and I realize we have a cosmopolitan audience, but the 13 best scary locations, or most scary locations would probably be a better way of phrasing it, in the U.S. Maybe at a later date I'll do worldwide, but as Halloween is sort of endemic to the U.S. holiday, which for complicated reasons I won't even get into right now, but without further ado, here are the 13 places I think are just terrifying, and I've been to several of these. So to start off, Alcatraz. It's on my list. I've not been there yet, but I know several people who have, and it is a floating prison off the coast of San Francisco, and it is apparently riddled with ghosts. By the way, this list, all the places are really scary places, not, the stairs from The Exorcist, or the house from The Shining, which some people do say actually is haunted, or the house from Amityville. I get why people find those creepy, but I'm talking about places with an actual paranormal history rather than just being notorious. Like, another example, I'm not going to include Lizzie Borden's bed and breakfast because, yeah, it's a murder scene, but there's a lot of murder scenes. I'm talking about places where there's like a real pull. Anyway, so that was number one. Number two, the Winchester House in San Jose, California. This is a place designed by a woman obsessed with spirits, with perfection, and it shows. It's like a house made by insanity itself. Highly recommend checking out the Winchester House. I think that Netflix just did a special on that, or a show or something. I need to check that out too. Number three, the LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans. This is, if you've ever seen American Horror Story Season 3, I think it was, the Delphine woman and all the macabre things that she would do, that's exactly what that was based on. She was a real woman, absolute Charles House, really, really screwed up things, and it has left an impression. And speaking of New Orleans, number 4 on the list is the St. Louis Cemetery, or St. Louis Cemetery in New Orleans. It's very iconic. You've probably seen it in movies, and I think New Orleans alone is a really great place to check out haunted things in general. So, yeah, definitely something worth checking out. Also on my list are 2 places from Kentucky. The first is Waverly Hills. That's actually where I'm going to be spending my Halloween. And it's a sanitarium for people with tuberculosis. It is incredibly haunted. I've been there before. Absolutely terrifying. Mentioned it a few times in the podcast for that reason. A place that I haven't been yet, and it is on my list, and it's also in Kentucky, is Mackey's Music World. Its claim to fame is the fact that it's not just haunted by ghosts, but presumably demons. So that one I'm kind of saving for a special occasion, and not this year. Another place where so much death transpired that it's left an impact is Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The Civil War was at some of the most brutal moments in that location, and people claim that the air is downright heavier in the area. Also on my list, I'm not even counting anymore because I will lose count too quick. Salem, Massachusetts. This is, by the way, I'm just doing this ad lib in no particular order. Salem, Massachusetts. That's where the witch trials most notoriously happen. There's been witch trials all over the world for centuries, but it's just a very notorious one, largely because it showcased the flaws of using spectral evidence, and it left a very big impression on the American zeitgeist with regard to how witch hunts and superstition can affect a culture, a society in general. So, yeah, it's very famous for that reason, and it's a big Halloween destination, too. Queen Mary, Long Beach, California. Haven't been to that one. Definitely want to. It's a retired ship bustling with ghost activity. Very, very famous for that. Rosedale, Mississippi Crossroads. I've never seen this on anybody else's list, by the way. Like some of these, there's some overlap. Nobody I've ever seen has mentioned the Rosedale, Mississippi Crossroads. It is the most famous crossroads I can think of because it's where Robert Johnson, presumably, sold his soul to the devil and in doing so invented rock and roll. I mean, that's got to be worth checking out, right? Almost at the home stretch now. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia, also on my list. I haven't been there, but it is the most haunted asylum in America, or at least that's its claim to fame. A lot of people over 100 years time spent in there, because it was only retired in like 94, have died there and have died in very poor mental condition, and it's left its mark. Definitely also worth checking out. There's the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's really famous because it's the most haunted hotel in America. So, also something worth checking out. It's supposed to be one of those places where if you take a skeptic, there's a very good chance they'll have an experience and it'll sway their opinion. Lastly, man, we talked about this actually in our penultimate Halloween episode with the Darker Side of Life podcast, and that is the Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee. It's such an impressionable place that it inspired our fellow podcasters to actually go into that, to actually delve into those kinds of topics. So, by all means, go through that list and see what you think, because if you want to go somewhere, and I know that travel and tours are a little harder right now this year, but if you want to go someplace that's really scary for Halloween, you can't do much worse than, or much better than anything on that list, depending on how easily frightened you are. Anyway, happy Halloween, you guys. Keep it strange. Like, share, subscribe. Bye.